Tonight, the latest on the Alabama hostage situation.
Plus, Troy students discuss world issues. Stay tuned, Troy. TrojanVision Nightly News starts now.
From the high-definition digital production center on the Troy campus, with news from Troy University locations around the world, this is Troy TrojanVision Nightly News.
Hello and welcome to Troy TrojanVision Nightly News for January 30th, 2013. I'm Deatra Montgomery.
And I am Bailey Majors. Thank you for joining us this evening. In Midland City, the hostage situation involving a little boy has been at a tense standoff since yesterday. A man boarded a school bus and shot the driver before running off with one of the children. Marley Hall has the story.
SWAT teams made their way to the scene in Alabama, where a man who opened fire on a school bus is holed up, along with a 6-year-old hostage. Police swarmed the scene overnight, along with FBI agents and hostage negotiators.
The Sheriff's Department has confirmed one adult male was shot and the suspect is not in custody.
Police believe the suspect is in an underground bunker on his property, which is behind this church in Midland City. Officers say he boarded a school bus Tuesday afternoon and tried to take a child. When the driver refused, the suspect shot and killed him and ran off with a little boy. CBS affiliate WTVY reports that police have spoken to the child through a pipe in the bunker. Neighbors say the property belongs to a 65-year-old man who was due in court on a menacing charge. He had reportedly yelled and fired shots in the past. One resident called him a ticking time bomb. Witnesses described a frightening scene after the shooting. They say the bus's siren went off and children came streaming out, running down the hill towards the church. Today, the frightened community is keeping students at home.
All Dale County and Ozark City schools will be closed on Wednesday, January 30th.
The surrounding area has been evacuated as police work to end the standoff. Marley Hall for CBS News.
And in local news, after several weeks of idle meetings, Troy Student Government Association got the ball rolling with some discussion on new policies. Judson Garner shows us more.
For the very first time this semester, an SGA senator said this.
So we have a resolution that we're going to be placing on docket later in the evening.
So far this semester's Troy University Student Government Association's meetings have been a bit relaxed, and nothing has been accomplished, but that changed Tuesday night in Howe Hall with the first bill placed on docket at a meeting this semester.
University SGA recommends that the Troy IT department allow more than one device of each nature to connect to the network without quarantine.
This bill will be voted on next week. We'll have the results of that. To find out more information on the bill before the SGA votes, you can visit the SGA office in the Trojan Center, room 215. And in the meeting, all of the committee head announcements shared a common theme.
Our committee has 3 goals.
We have some goals that we want to accomplish. My committee also came up with a couple of goals for this semester.
We're going to take action towards a more unified Senate.
Promote the safety email, and that's campus safety at troy.edu.
See what the plan is and where we kind of stand with the Sorority Hill resolution.
Each committee head shared 3 goals for the semester at the meeting, which made for better use of their announcement time than what has been said weeks past. 3 students running for the SGA vacant at-large seats were in attendance. They were asked the simple question, why should students vote for you to represent them?
I've gotten so much out of Troy University, I really have, and I just want to be able to give back.
I'm looking for all the students of the Troy University, not just like particular branch.
I've held leadership positions in Student Nursing Association, Panhellenic for Troy University, and for Capital Sorority.
Judson Garner, Troy TrojanVision News.
The next members will be sworn in at next week's SGA meeting.
Troy University is in the middle of its year of Holocaust remembrance, and as part of the year's activities, Troy University's College of Communication and Fine Arts is using movies to help students better understand the Holocaust. Robert Wagner reports.
Tuesday night, the College of Communication and Fine Arts set up shop in Patterson Hall, kicking off their first of many free movie nights.
Tonight's the first showing in our film series on the Holocaust. I'm introducing the movie The Pianist, which is a story about how a concert pianist survives the Holocaust in Warsaw. And I'm also talking a little bit about the music and the soundtrack of the film.
And whether these students are here for business or pleasure, Dr. Mary Jo Cochran feels that the movie will be a great eye-opener for all the students.
I hope, my fondest wish is that the students have actually read the book, The Pianist, that's part of our college reading initiative. If they have, I think the movie will really help them bring that whole story to life. If they haven't read the book, then seeing the film will still be a great experience. It's a wonderful film. I think Adrian Brody got an Academy Award for it. And it's a very heartfelt story about a Polish music composer and musician who is stuck in the Warsaw Ghetto during World War II and has to survive on his wits.
One student had this to say.
I just think it shows what actually happened during the Holocaust. You know, it's a real life story, so it's not like somebody made it up completely. It actually relates to the Holocaust.
Robert Wagner, TrojanVision News.
The next movie in the film festival series will be The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. The film will be shown next Tuesday at 7 p.m. in Patterson Hall, Room 101. Well, Diatra, everyday copies of the New York Times are provided to Troy students as part of Troy University's reading initiative.
That's right, Bailey. And every Wednesday, students gather together to discuss major articles found in the New York Times. Courtney Chandler has the story.
On Wednesday, students got the chance to express their opinions at the weekly Times Talk forum.
What we do is this is held once a week, Wednesdays at noon, Trojan Center 119, and we have different faculty members select an article from the New York Times relative to a current event or something that's occurred in the news, and we just discuss it over free pizza.
This week's discussion was about the article discussing women on the front line.
For me, this topic, and now granted I'm old-fashioned, but I think it's time to we need to make sure that the standards are being met by men and women, and they're equal, and we should not adjust standards in combat situations.
And it'll be interesting to see how that is implemented and what that means for our military. Certainly plays a role relative to our own role as citizens and voters.
And why should students attend Times Talk?
That they can think critically about decisions like this. So it's important to know what's going on in the public agenda relative to our elected officials.
Courtney Chandler, Troy, TrojanVision News.
The next Times Talk is scheduled for noon next Wednesday in Trojan Center Room 119.
And now taking a look at news from around the state, in Birmingham, federal prosecutors have charged the CEO of Adams Produce with fraud, failure to report a felony against the government, and failure to file federal income tax returns. Charges were filed against former Adams Produce Chief Executive Officer Scott David Grinstead.
And in Montgomery, U.S. Department of Justice officials say a former Town Creek police officer is being indicted for violating a man's civil rights during an arrest in 2009. Officials say an indictment charges 32-year-old Brandon Shane Mundy of Oxford with hitting a man with a dangerous weapon and causing bodily injury to the man.
And also in Birmingham, strong storms moving through Alabama left thousands of people without power and forced schools to delay openings as a precaution. Forecasters say winds up to 60 miles per hour are possible in South Alabama.
And still to come on TrojanVision Nightly News, the Trojan women's basketball team is looking to end a losing streak tonight. Danielle Parsifal will be in next with sports with all the details.
But first, a well-known victim of gun violence is pleading with Congress for stricter gun control. We'll have that story and more after the break.
A former Congresswoman returns to Capitol Hill to press lawmakers for tougher gun control. I'm Danielle Nottingham. I'll have the story coming up.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
I've been taking classes at Troy online for years. The staff and the professors, they care about developing me, not just academically, but in my future career. I feel that Troy is preparing me for my next mission.
On campus or online, Troy offers you an extraordinary education that can take you anywhere you want to go. Troy University. It's all you need to know.
I'm John Phillips. I'm an active duty soldier attending school full-time, and I choose Troy.
From the high-definition digital production studios of Troy University, you're watching the award-winning TrojanVision Nightly News.
And now for a look at what's happening across the nation and around the world, we'll go to Deatra Montgomery at the Global News Desk. Deatra.
Banning assault weapons, high-capacity magazines, and stronger background checks in their first hearing in the gun violence since last month's massacre at the elementary school in Newton, Connecticut. Former Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords kicked off the discussion with an emotional plea, while the NRA pushed back against any new gun laws. Danielle Nottingham reports from Capitol Hill.
Former Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords had some difficulty getting the words out, but her message to lawmakers was clear.
The time is now. You must act.
Giffords came to Capitol Hill with her husband, retired astronaut Mark Kelly. Kelly said a ban on large-capacity magazines may have prevented the gunman who injured his wife from taking 6 lives.
When he tried to reload one 33-round magazine with another 33-round magazine, he dropped it. And a woman named Patricia Maish grabbed it, and it gave bystanders a time to tackle him.
Republican Lindsey Graham offered a counterexample of a woman who emptied her magazine, fending off an intruder.
And there can be a situation where a mother runs out of bullets because of something we do here.
Some Democratic senators have already introduced legislation to ban high-capacity magazines and assault-style weapons. Expanding background checks is also up for debate.
My problem with background checks is you're never going to get criminals to go through universal background checks.
Wayne LaPierre pressed the NRA's position.
The criminals won't go to purchase the guns because there'll be a background check. We'll stop them from the original purchase. You missed that point completely.
Senator,
and I think it's basic.
Senator, I think you missed it.
Let there be order.
Getting any new legislation passed is expected to be difficult. There are gun rights supporters on both sides of the aisle. Danielle Nottingham, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
NFL history will be made on the sideline Sunday after the Super Bowl. For the first time ever, 2 brothers will coach against each other. Teresa Garcia has the latest from New Orleans on how their parents are dealing with this unusual circumstance.
Don't expect Jackie and Jack Harbaugh to take sides Sunday.
You're going to ask us how we feel on this historic event. Jackie, who has it better than us? Nobody!
The proud parents of the 2 opposing Super Bowl coaches are in a very unusual predicament. How to watch John and his younger brother Jim coach in the biggest game of their lives without picking a favorite son.
I think if it ends in a tie, it will be a tie.
The one thing that I do think about is after the game. There's going to be one winner, and there's going to be one that's going to be totally disappointed. And my thoughts go to that one that will not experience the thrill of victory. And
Jack Harbaugh is an ex-coach, but Jim says his father's influence at home was much more important.
When we were growing up, my dad would play catch with us. He would take us to games, and most of all, he believed in us. And we grew up just like him.
When the Ravens and 49ers take the Superdome field Sunday, John Harbaugh says he's not quite sure what to expect when he faces his brother.
It's probably a little tougher emotionally. I'll have probably a better answer for you after the game. We've never been through this one before. You know, this is all new.
Both brothers and their parents all hope the spotlight will be on the players and the biggest game of the year. Teresa Garcia, CBS News, New Orleans.
And that wraps things up from the Global News Desk. To see more stories from across the country and around the world, such as updates on the Lindsay Lohan's court trial, you can tune in to TrojanVision Global News right after the nightly news. Now back to you, Bailey.
Thank you, Deatra. And now Danielle Percival joins us for a look at sports. So Danielle, the women's basketball team hasn't really had a whole lot of luck this season, but they have another chance to redeem themselves tonight in Kentucky.
Well, that's right. Maybe tonight's the night they turn it around. They've got Western Kentucky on tap tonight. The game starts in just a little while. Let's get into a preview.
All right, sounds good.
The women's basketball team will be looking to pick up their first conference victory of the season tonight at Western Kentucky. The Trojans are on a 9-game losing streak and have never won at EA Diddle Arena. Troy's only 1-13 against the Hilltoppers all time, and the Toppers are a perfect 5-0 at home in conference play this year. The Trojans lost to Western at home earlier in the season after leading with less than a minute to go. Western Kentucky hit a go-ahead three-pointer and won 84-81. The Trojans have had 2 players score in the 20s in their last game against ULM, and over the last 5 games, Joanna Harden is averaging 23 points. The Trojans are averaging 74.5 points per game, which is the highest in the Sun Belt. They'll be looking to break the losing streak and maybe pick up a couple more points, like 75 maybe, and win their first conference victory tonight at 7. On the men's side, they'll be looking to continue their streak. Having won their last 2 in thrilling fashion, they'll be taking on the Hilltoppers tomorrow night at EA Diddle Arena. The 2 teams met earlier in the season with the Trojans losing close 75-71. Western Kentucky's on a streak of their own. They've lost their last 3, including a 19-point loss at Middle Tennessee last weekend. Coach Don Maestri knows the Trojans will need another complete team effort against the Hilltoppers tomorrow if they want the chance to win.
We've played pretty good basketball the last 2 games. That's one of the most important things. We've got a lot of production from a lot of guys. Matter of fact, the last game against Monroe, when we won on the road, all 9 guys scored. So when you can get contribution from the whole team, because basically that's all we play is 9, then that's a real plus in terms of winning games.
The Trojans traveled to Western today and will be taking on the Hilltoppers tomorrow night at 7. Moving off the court into the track, the women's indoor track and field team has only had a couple meets so far this season, but they've been seeing big results. Several personal bests have been set, as well as individuals moving up in the top performances in Trojan history. Director of Track and Field Jill Lancaster knows the team has been performing strong for it to be so early in the season.
Big improvements, because coming off a 4-week vacation, we can only feed them so much information when they're away from us. So we're able to insert some workouts here the past few weeks that brought us to another level at Arkansas State from our first meet. But by no way, like you said, are we where we need to be, but we've saw a lot of progress this week, and we call it dancing on the table. You start dancing on the table when you're ready for a breakthrough to a new level, and we're starting to see some of that, and they're starting to feel good about what's going on.
The team will be hitting the road on Friday, heading to their next meet, the Middle Tennessee Invitational in Murfreesboro, on Saturday. Well, it's not quite time to head out to the ballpark for baseball yet, but that doesn't mean the team hasn't been hitting the diamond. Baseball season begins in 2 weeks, and practice began just a few days ago, but as head coach Bobby Pierce says, it takes more than a few weeks of practice to be ready when the season arrives.
These college players practice a long time before they get to play, and it's hard to maintain focus and intensity, concentration, and this team has really shown a high level of those things.
And remember, fans, you can meet the players for both baseball and softball coming up this Sunday at Fan Day at 2 o'clock at Riddle Pace Field. So Deatra Bailey, best of luck to the women's basketball team tonight on the road. The men's team will be on the road tomorrow night, but they'll be back home for a little home action on Saturday, so fans will have the opportunity to maybe come out and support the teams at home, but best of luck to the women tonight.
Absolutely. A busy weekend ahead for the basketball teams, but good luck to them, and hopefully they can pull out a win.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Danielle. And still to come on TrojanVision Nightly News, we'll hear from the president of the Student Government Association about the SGA's plans for this semester.
But first, Pike County was under a tornado warning and severe thunderstorms warnings earlier today. Should we be on the lookout for more severe weather? Courtney?
Well, Maddie, it looks like those winds and rain will be sticking around for the rest of the night. By tomorrow, we should be able to put away our umbrellas, but I'll have more details coming up next in weather.
Teaching a kid football is one thing. Keeping a kid in school, that's the name of my game. My name is LaDainian Thomason. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Some risks are obviously not worth taking. Some aren't as obvious, but could be just as deadly, like the risk for type 2 diabetes. Take the diabetes risk test and stop diabetes before it stops you.
I was looking for something that if I had to take online, I could still take it, but I wanted that personal touch that Troy offers. I needed to be able to work around my schedule because I still support my family full time, and I needed to be able to be flexible, and Troy met those needs.
On campus or online, Troy offers you an extraordinary education with the flexibility you need. Troy University. It's all you need to know.
My name is Jeremy. I am a criminal justice major with Homeland Security. I needed to reinvent myself, and I chose Troy.
From the high-definition digital production studios of Troy University, you're watching the award-winning TrojanVision Nightly News.
And now Courtney Addison joins us for a look at weather.
Well, Courtney, earlier this week we were experiencing warmer weather, could go outside and enjoy it, but today was definitely not that day.
Exactly, Deatra. We had that cold front move through earlier, which pushed a band of storms coming through, which was causing all this rain and going to cause our temperature to drop within the next couple of days. But I have more details on that. First, let's take a look at our campus snapshot. Looking at our campus snapshot, it's really cloudy outside, a little bit of a light rain, which we've been seeing for the most part of the day. Going into our current conditions, we have cloudy skies, temperature coming in at 52, so it's a lot cooler than it started out this morning. Dew point coming in at 48, humidity very high at 85, barometer coming in at 29.73 and rising, and winds coming in from the west-northwest at 10 miles per hour, which most of us know we've seen gusts a lot stronger than that today. Looking at today's statistics, we had a high of 77, low of 36. We had almost a little under a half an inch of rain. Sunrise was at 6:49 a.m. and the sun should have set at 5:17 p.m. Going in and looking at our temperatures from around the state, for the most part, everyone is seeing very cloudy and a little bit of light rain throughout the state of Alabama, and temperatures coming in right around in the 50s, with the exception of Dothan coming in right at 60. We have Mobile coming in at 54, Birmingham at 50, Huntsville at 53, Montgomery and Troy both at 52, Phoenix City 57, and Dothan at 60. Looking at our temperatures from around the southeast, this cold front, which has already moved through, has caused temperatures to decrease a significant amount in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. But as far as if we look back towards the Carolinas and parts of Georgia where the cold front hasn't quite made it yet, they're still having very warm temperatures into the 70s. Looking at a little bigger scale in the United States, for the most part, everyone out west their temperatures have cooled down a lot from what we have been experiencing. They're all seeing temperatures into the teens and to the 20s, and some places even into the negatives. Looking at our departure from normal, we're actually seeing temperatures about where we should be seeing, where it has been a lot warmer before. We're actually seeing temperatures like we should be seeing at the end of January. Going out to our current surface map, we have lots of high pressure systems developing out west, but as I mentioned earlier, the cold front that was moving through, this is it right here, pushing this band of showers through Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. Just hasn't made it into the Carolinas, but for the most part, the eastern coast of the United States is going to see a significant amount of rain. Taking a closer look into our area, we have this cold front and two cold fronts actually moving through the area. All of this rain, most of it is already out of our way. We should just be seeing light rain for the rest of the night. The strong rain and severe weather should be out of our area. Going into our precipitation forecast for the next 48 hours, we could be seeing anywhere up to a quarter inch of rain and a half an inch of rain in some places. So if you're going to be out on the road or if you have to travel for the rest of the week, try to be really careful. Going into tomorrow's forecast, this rain should all be out of our area with the exception of the southern tip of Florida. They could be seeing a little bit of rain, and the northern part of the United States going to have icy conditions from the rain that they experienced today. Icy and lots of windy conditions. Same for Friday. Should remain clear. We should have a clear start to our weekend, and the icy conditions are still very active in the northern part of the United States. Going into Saturday, for our area should remain very clear, but we do have some rain showers coming into the northern part of Alabama as well as Mississippi and also in Tennessee. And we also should have a very clear start to very clear into our weekend, should remain very clear. And looking at tonight's forecast, we have an 80% chance of rain, but most of those showers should be very early into the evening, and we should have very clear skies after midnight. And we also will have having strong winds coming in from the west at 23 miles per hour with gusts getting up to 30 miles per hour. So if you have to be outside tonight, be very careful, but try to stay indoors if in any way possible. And a low coming in at 40. Looking at tomorrow's forecast, we have very sunny skies, a lot lower humidity today. It was around 80, but tomorrow should be into the 30s and barely hitting into the 40s. We have strong winds coming in from the west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour with gusts reaching up to possibly 25 miles per hour with a high of 57. Going into our 4-day forecast, we see temperatures are going to cool off a significant amount and then warm back Saturday and Sunday with lows in the 30s and the 40s. So Deatra, Bailey, we had lots of rain this morning, and it should be a very clear start to our weekend and beautiful weather.
Well, that's good to know. Thanks, Courtney.
Absolutely. Thank you.